Welcome to Orenda Books at Bedtime. I'm Karen Sullivan, publisher of Orenda Books, and tonight I'm taking you over to the home of the bad boy of British crime. This is Will Carver. He was best known for the January David series, which was published elsewhere, and he took quite a long break in between his next books, and we were delighted to get this one. Now, when it came in on submissions, Will Carver's Good Samaritans, I have to say that I have never felt such a visceral sense of anxiety reading a book. It's dark, it's sexy, and for those of you who know me know that I usually cut out all the sex in my author's books. It's allowed to stay in this one, and when you read it, you'll know why. It's one of the most disturbing books I've ever read, but I have to also say that it is sheer genius. It was a thriller in the year in The Telegraph, in the Sunday Express, and The Guardian, and it's one of the most compelling and exciting books you probably will ever read, and this is what it's about. Seth Bowman can't sleep. He stays up late calling strangers from his phone book, hoping to make a connection, while his wife, Maeve, sleeps upstairs. A crossed wire finds a suicidal Hadley serf on the phone to Seth. She thinks she's talking to the Samaritans. But a seemingly harmless late-night hobby turns into something more for Seth and for Hadley. And soon their late-night talks are turning into daytime meetups. And then this dysfunctional love story turns into something altogether darker when Seth brings Hadley home. And someone is watching. Here we go. We're going over to Will Carver.
Good evening. Welcome to my library. Tonight I'm going to read from Good Samaritans. It's a story about the disconnected world that we live in and people who are desperate to make some kind of connection. This particular extract deals with our main character Seth Bowman and the dysfunctional marriage he has with his wife Maeve. Some of you may even recognise aspects of this routine. Mostly, they'd just hang up the phone, whoever they were. Seth didn't know. He was just dialing a random number, hoping for some connection. It goes something like this. There are 2 sofas in the lounge, one for Seth with 2 seats that he sits up in, one for his wife with 3 seats that she lies down on and then invariably falls asleep halfway through the programme that she's insisted they watch. This is called marriage, routine, settling down, settling in, settling. He tells himself that she has no idea they're unhappy because it's too pathetic to think that they both let this happen. She misses the second half of the TV show. He watches it to the end just in case she wakes up and finds that he's turned over to something that doesn't turn his brain to a liquid he can feel dribbling out of his ears. What he wants to do is turn it off, read a book, do some exercise, masturbate, take one of those floral cushions from her sofa, one of the ones that really ties everything in the room together, and place it over her face, holding it down tightly so that he never has to ingest another minute of the unreal, privileged housewives of some American city he doesn't give a fuck about. He wants some warmth, to feel loved, needed, wanted, but he sticks it out. He watches it while she snores. He doesn't remember the names of any of the characters, just like he can't remember anything his wife likes anymore, or the reasons he fell for her in the first place. It gets like this. The credits roll, he wakes her up, she apologises. He says something like, "Don't worry babe, you didn't miss much." And she goes to bed. She used to kiss him goodnight, but that stopped a couple of years ago. He's pleased it did, it felt wrong, forced. Then he's alone, with his thoughts and ideas and anguishes, and nobody to share them with, no one to lighten the load. He wants to pick up the phone now and dial a number, but it's too early. That's like admitting defeat. Tonight could be the night. He could fall asleep. He could stay asleep. He doesn't fall or stay. That's how it always goes. It's been like this for 18 years. His evening continues. He flicks through the channels with no real purpose, perhaps the small hope that he'll stumble across a movie where a woman is showing her breasts, because he can't always rely on his imagination when he wants to grab hold of his cock. They don't have sex anymore. He thinks that maybe he'll feel sleepy after he's come. He just feels pissed off though. The pleasure lasts for a second, maybe. He used to be able to control the ending, prolong it, make it last. Seems too much like work now. It's not about pleasure anymore. It's truth and nothingness. That moment when you come, when you can't deny the pleasure of orgasm, no matter how short it is, there is an inescapable nothing. Everything in that instant is true, and he'll take that, because all the other things in his life seem to be a fucking lie. Seth can't sleep, and that's a problem. It affects everything in his life, and everything in his life affects it. Afterwards, there's a come down, the inevitable low, because there isn't a thing that will top that half second of joy. Seth's shitty day is about to get so much worse. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Will, and thank you. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week for another episode of Orenda Books at Bedtime.